I'm going to talk about secondary authorities, the final chapter in the textbook. We've already been working with secondary authorities, so what I'm doing with this recording is to cover some of the things that the textbook shows and talks about, and we can see it in Westlaw. The theory remains the same. The use of secondary authorities is really helpful for learning the background of an area of law you're probably not familiar with. It can give you really quick answers to some legal problems. It's also a great way to find a case or the statute, and then you can begin your more extensive research through that case or through that statute. So let's look at our secondary authorities. Down here, I can click on secondary sources. So you can see Westlaw organizes it by type of secondary sources: American Law Reports, CLE, jury instructions, rules, law review, legal newspapers, the restatement and principles of law, texts and treatises, state surveys, and CCH. We can also find it by state. So you can click on California, and there are our list of California specific sources. I'm always recommending CalJur, but you might have a real estate issue, or you might like the Rudder Group. Those are great practice guides. Witkins is wonderful too. The other thing that I really like are law review articles. Law review articles can be extremely helpful to give you background law. It's very focused, however, so it's not great for large topics where you're not sure of the details of a topic. But if you have a very specific topic, you can use law review. A sample, for instance, is cyberbullying. I have used law review articles to do some research in that area, and they are great. You just plug in cyberbullying and you're going to get some very interesting articles that tell you the entire law of cyberbullying. So law review articles can be very helpful. We have also forms. You would also have jury instructions. So most of you are familiar really on how to use these particular sources. You'll also see it can be organized here by topic. So if you have a specific area of law, you can do your research. It'll pull up specific sources relating to that area. So let's say criminal law, and now you have several of these possibilities regarding criminal law. Going back to the front. So that is where we're at with regards to secondary authorities. So looking at the 5 questions worksheet, when you hit question 4, it says, what specific source will I expect to find the information? This is an opportunity to think about what it is you're after. So if you would look back at your secondary sources, you want to think of what kind of sources will help my specific question. So if I, for instance, click on law review journals because I'm deciding I want something kind of a huge overview, I can now search law review and journals. So I'm going to put in the cyberbullying as I mentioned, and I can just put in cyberbullying. That's it. It's such a unique term that I'm bound to get some very helpful information. So this, if we look here, we can sort by date over here, by date, and that we can get the most recent law review articles. So you can take a look. Big Brother is Parent, judicial messaging. So cyberbullying is really a huge topic, But here are like this one about students, bullying and students with disabilities. How can we keep them safe? That was really, the topic, the area of law that I was really interested in. I had kids in school, etc. I still do. All right, so this is very helpful, but it gives you a little hint here, bullying and students. It's very specific. So I can further limit my articles to secondary schools, high schools. So let's see what pops up if I do that. And there I have. Once again, I can sort. This sorts by relevance, which is really similar to the Google concept. But I want to look at date, the most recent ones, and we can take a look at what's there. So, oops, I clicked a little too fast on that. Accommodation of religion, very interesting topic in and of itself. Let's take a look here. So this just gives you an idea of the kinds of things that you can do and the kinds of things you can find. So I particularly like it. Going back to the front end, we've got, again, secondary sources. And another one that I think is really helpful, I mean, we're familiar with our encyclopedias. We've already seen those. Another one I really like are American law reports. That you can do by topic, and that also has had some really interesting results. What are American law reports? These are articles put together by a researcher. They address, similar to law review, very specific topics. This is not an overview that you're going to find of a whole area of law. You're going to find information regarding a very specific topic. So it's always a good idea to see if it's there. The reason I like it is because it provides a view across the country of jurisdictions, of state jurisdictions, and what the results are, including federal as well, if it's applicable. So an example, if I do my previous search, which was about the cyberbullying, so let me see if I can pull that up. Yep, right here. I'm going to do cyberbullying secondary schools. I'm going to search, and we can see what comes up. And the most relevant is liability of a public school or school district under the Constitution for bullying, harassment, or intimidation of a student by another student. And this is going to be very interesting. So I can show you what this looks like. If we go down, look at the table of contents. So you can see the table of contents gives you an idea as the article outline tells you what's in the entire article, the index, the statutory text, table of cases, laws, and rules. So you can see what this is. So this particular article is organized very helpfully in, so the circumstance of cyberbullying is probably what you're familiar. One student bullies another. There are a lot of defenses that people are interested in, and this tells you, shows you some of those defenses and how they're handled really across the country. First Amendment, 14th Amendment, etc. So you can take a look. It just really gives you a pretty good overview of this idea, this topic of cyberbullying in secondary schools. So I really like American law reports for this very purpose. It is incredibly informative about a specific topic. So let's go back. Okay, so that just helps you. So again, it's, why do we use secondary authorities? Secondary authorities educate us on specific topics, and it'll lead us to cases and statutes, which is really where you want to be. So when you're using secondary authorities, you really have to consider, what are they? What kind of information will they give me? How in depth are they? Is it on my specific topic? How detailed is that? So there are lots of things that go into determining which secondary source is best for you. So I would hope that you don't take it so lightly on those 5 questions. This is not a matter of rote. It is knowledge about that authority itself. And you choose which one is best for you. Okay, I'll end there. If there's anything else you need to know, email me.